Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Sheree Singer. I'm the Associate Dean for Admissions and Student Affairs, and hopefully you all have seen my face at one point or another during this process, whether it was at a town hall or another event that we have done. I just wanted to pop in here real quick to introduce our Office of Career Advising team. So this is the team along with myself and your advisors that really helps you along your journey to residency. I know you just were admitted to medical school and we're so happy to have you as part of the UNR Med family. But we really want you to get started thinking about this now because this is one of the things to think about as you're looking at medical school admissions and where support services that they provide. So I want to introduce first Dr. Nedazadi Amoli. She is our chair actually of OBGYN and also serves as the director of career advising. And so Dr. Edazadi, who will wave, she's going to be speaking to you today. And then we also have Samantha Myers. So Samantha Myers is our coordinator for career advising, and she's the one who sends out all the communications and emails and helps develop does the website, everything else. So these are two people that you really need to get to know quite well. And this is the time. We have a small group here to be able to ask them any kinds of questions that you may want to ask. Really, no question is too big or small. It's really important that you understand all these things, and sometimes there are a lot of information. So feel free to ask them anything that you would like. And again, welcome to UNR Med, and it's really great to see you guys here.
Thank you, Dr. Singer. It's a pleasure to speak with all of you. And as Dr. Singer mentioned, we're going to talk about your journey to residency. And really, it's never too soon. Once you've decided that you are going to medical school, realizing that your preferences can change, your choice, you might have entered medical school or you might be entering medical school thinking you're going to do one thing and it may change later on. Realizing that all these are possibilities, you still want to start thinking about what it is that interests you. And so we're here to talk about your journey today. Next slide, please. So your next 4 years is going to be a series of transitions. And what I mean by that is going to be transitions as you move from undergraduate to medical school, as you move from the classroom to the wards, from inpatient services to outpatient services. And those transitions are really going to be part of this developmental process. And really, as you start to, understand yourself, you'll have opportunities to be honing in on those study strategies, what may have worked for you as an undergraduate or in any of your other types of training that you have received may need to be refined, especially as you enter the classroom and are learning higher volumes of information. And certainly once you transition to being in completely clinical realms, where a lot of your learning is happening simultaneously or incident to the type of care that you're delivering to the patients. You're going to be able to establish series of networks and incredible friendships over the next 4 years, all along while demonstrating your competencies. There'll be plenty of tests and plenty of opportunities to show us how you're learning and what you're learning. And then in the meantime, growing professionally. And that's a big kind of broad overarching, what does professional growth and development mean? When really it's a lifetime process. And so we'll start to talk a little bit about what that means and what we can offer at UNR Med. And then certainly by the time you get to the end result of medical school and graduating from medical school, having that piece of now I have this MD degree and I'm now going off to residency. So being able to chart that career path for yourselves, what that looks like, that's what we're here to help you with and what the Office of Career Advising can offer. Next slide, please. So it's important to remember that every moment gives you insight. And really you can learn from any opportunity that you have directly in the classroom, and certainly when you're out and interacting with patients in a variety of clinical situations, when you're out volunteering, when you're doing your organizational activities. Your lectures are going to give you insight to your preferred subject matter. Some are you're going to be absolutely passionate about, others not so much, and that's okay. But having that realization as you go through the process of your lectures as to moments that really draw you in and help you really connect with what your end goal is are important moments as you embark on this path of deciding what it is that you're going to do after 4 years. Your clerkships, so your opportunities to rotate clinically in your third year, will help give you information on the types of specialties that you are interested in, what you gravitate to in terms of your practice style. Do you like the more critical care setting? Do you like the more acute patient, or do you like chronic long-term situations and types of interactions? Are you one that is more procedural based, and do you like a lot of hands-on type activities, or are you one that tends to be more of the I like to reflect on lab values and test results and determine what a course of action is? So you'll have ample opportunity to rotate through a series of clerkship experiences and interactions that are going to help you better understand what it is that you once again connect with. And certainly there'll be ample research opportunities, volunteer opportunities, and leadership opportunities that will help you not only understand how you will practice or what you will practice, but also ultimately what you choose and what you'll bring to healthcare into the system as you move forward and ultimately become a physician in part of our healthcare system. So when we talk about the student who successfully gets accepted to residency, also known as successfully matches to residency, we know that the student has certain qualities and characteristics. These students are students that performed well academically, that participated in activities that led to professional development, such as the research, volunteer work, teaching opportunities, and leadership opportunities that you'll have as you enter UNR Med. This is a student also that strongly identifies with their specialty of choice. So really they can really define for themselves as well as for others, for those that interview them and say, why is it that you want this specialty? They can really show that they have understood what it entails to be someone in this specialty. This student also gives no doubt about being a valued colleague and a member of the healthcare team. So once again, there is an opportunity to be welcomed into a specialty and to be able to show that as you're entering that specialty, you bring the knowledge, the skill sets, the passion, the types of patient interactions that are valued in that specialty. That's going to be the person that successfully matches into residency. And certainly someone who knows how to communicate well and communicate consistently and has insight and humility. These attributes all combined together translate into that successful resident and that successful physician that is going to be practicing lifelong. Next slide. So let's talk about how you're going to get there. So this slide is actually, this picture or pyramid is actually from the American Association of Medical Colleges Careers in Medicine website. And it really breaks down the years of career development into 4 phases. And it doesn't necessarily mean that because each phase is, there's 4 phases, 4 years in medical school, that you have to stick on this specific trajectory, but it does demonstrate a progression and a development of understanding as you prepare towards residency and how as you progress through medical school. So let's break that apart and talk about specifically what career advising can offer you. So phase one was that bottom level of the pyramid, that blue phase. And that phase is understanding yourself. So basic early on questions is how you will adapt to medical school. When we talk about how you adapt to medical school, it gives you insight as to the types of resources and support you need to be successful. And this is valuable information when ultimately you are deciding the type of program that you want to be part of when you graduate from medical school and apply to residency. Are you someone that thrives in the larger environment, the busier environment? Are you someone that is a particular type of learner that some residency programs cater to? So this information very early on is useful information. And going back to the fact that every moment is a moment that helps you understand and better define what it is that you may be looking for as you ultimately embark on your career choice and decision. This is an important thing to remember. Also, what you're drawn to. There will be plenty of organizations and opportunities with such as activities to explore what your interests are. And as you do this, you'll start to understand what you value and how, as it pertains to the type of practice and healthcare teams that you're going to be part of. And so the Office of Career Advising will provide you career advising activities and career exploration opportunities by having workshops for you, by having opportunities to interact in different types of lectures and resources that we provide you so that you can start to really formulate this understanding initially. And again, keeping in mind that not everything is set in stone. What you answer at one point may completely change within a couple months, within a year, and that's okay. And having that understanding and that flexibility as you ultimately decide what's important is something that is key here. And you should give yourself that opportunity to explore, because what we know is that really when you are able to do that full deep dive and really understand yourself better, then ultimately it's going to lead to that career satisfaction that everyone desires, that is certainly well deserved after how many years of training you're investing into it, and that will allow you to lead a life that is full, satisfying, and minimizes your burnout because you haven't really invested that time or picked that right specialty for yourselves. So as we do these types of activities in your first year, it's important to also make sure that you're studying hard, that you're professionally developing. And what I tell my students when they start working with me in the first year is really being able to reflect. And if you're someone that really it's helpful for you to journal or write down your thoughts or collect them somehow, record yourself, write it down, however it is that you keep track of information and meaningful moments for yourself, this will be a useful tool because you will go through different rotations, different classes. And by being able to jot down how you're feeling in that moment is sometimes helpful because you'll be able to connect with it as you're going back and looking at all of this. Next slide, please. And as we move to that second tier of that pyramid, we're looking at phase two, that purple row, which is that explore those options. And really, career exploration is something that is different to many different people. Some people learn by being completely immersed and embedded in that opportunity, for example, by participating in a clerkship activity, or excuse me, a preceptorship type activity, by having one-on-one mentorship with someone who is in that specialty. Some people learn by being parts of different interest groups, or attending different workshops, being involved in research activities that are related to a particular specialty. Any and all of those options exist at UNR Med. And what we do is we help provide you connections to all of these. We help our student leaders who are in charge of some of these activities connect and communicate with you as you become that incoming first year. And you really are able to involve yourself to the depth and breadth that you feel comfortable doing and getting involved in so that you can start to really do a deep dive into this. But it's important to balance that early on, especially as you are first learning how to kind of get used to medical student life. And so we don't ever want to lose sight of the importance of studying hard while you are continuously professionally developing. And again, don't lose sight of that reflection. So these three words are going to show up as a theme here as we go through the remainder of the slides, because I want you to remember that it's a process, and it's a process that builds upon itself. And at any time point, if we have students that need help or guidance, we are available. So myself and Sam are available by email. We're available in this virtual time because of the pandemic. We set up, sessions, and then of course, Zoom sessions as needed. And then of course, we have structured career advising sessions and specialty advisors and networking opportunities for you all to be part of as you embark on these phases. Next slide, please. So phase three, and this typically starts now to kind of correlate more towards where you are in your medical school education. Phase three is really now we're starting to hone in on what it is that you're naturally gravitating to if you haven't already figured that out in medical school. And so that typically is around your third year when you're actively involved in doing these clerkship opportunities. So each clerkship is a series of weeks that you're spending directly in a specialty, and you have a clerkship director who will be the point person and assigns you to the different elements or different sites within that clerkship. You're able to connect with your peers, connect with other faculty in that specialty, and really fully be immersed in the different aspects of that specialty, be it inpatient or outpatient. And it really gives you that information. And so typically in that third year, a lot of our students are already starting to connect with our specialty advisors. And I invite all of you to look at our career advising website. It's something that we've worked on really hard over the course of the last almost 2 years now, since we've officially started the Office of Career Advising. And it has a myriad of resources, including a list of our specialty advisors. And they do well to connect with each of you one-on-one as early as you want. So as soon as my students start to express interest in the first year in OBGYN, I will actually start to meet with them. And I will also be able to give them advice on what they should be looking at in the year in their first year that might help solidify an interest in OBGYN. And I also have that discussion with them that, look, you do this and you realize you don't want it, you don't want OBGYN, that's completely fine. Connect with me. I will continue to guide you through this process and connect you with the next specialty advisor for whatever other specialty you might be considering. But the ability to connect with people and connect with a specific specialty advisor is definitely an important part of this process in your career development. And we're excited by the number of well qualified and skilled specialty advisors that we have in competitive specialties to be able to guide you through this process. We're able to then help you understand specialty specific data and to learn about this match process that happens once a year, and to determine what is the best application strategy for you so that you can be successful in ultimately matching into the residency program of your choice. So there's a lot of alphabet soup out there in terms of the different organizations and different pieces of resources and whatnot that you'll use, but one that you're going to become very familiar with as you interact with the Office of Career Advising is the National Residency Match Program, the NRMP, and they actually put out data along with the AAMC, so the American Association of Medical Colleges, that help us provide you information with what are the standard um, competencies, what do jobs look like, what do average test exam scores look like, what do the average number of research experiences look like for people applying to a particular specialty. And so when we talk about developing a strategy that is specific to you, then we look at what you have done in your time in medical school, and really then what does it look like as far as the lay of the land for you. And that's why it's important to enter medical school with an open mind, and to be involved in as many activities as you feel drawn to, so that you can continue to academically perform and be a competitive applicant, and but also continue to professionally develop and give yourself more opportunities from the standpoint of application processes and strategies. Next slide, please. So then is that final top tier of that pyramid. And that's the actual phase 4 or preparation from residency. And I'd like to say that your entire 4 years is a preparation for residency from the standpoint of the fund of knowledge that you're building, from the standpoint of the qualities, characteristics, professional elements that you learn about when it comes to how to be a great physician. And we definitely provide you with that a fund of knowledge and those skill sets. But when we talk about specifically applying to residency, that 4th year really is an intense process that we provide you with consistent support throughout. So you will be very consistently meeting with your specialty advisor and communicating with them on a very regular basis with respect to what types of rotations, away rotations you will be doing, what you plan as far as planning for your 4th year schedule, and what those electives look like when you're doing your 4th year. What your number of programs are going to be, what your interview offers are going to be like, all of these things, any questions that you have, any challenges that you have, any fears that you have, your specialty advisors are well suited to be able to help you and guide you through all of this process. And our specialty advisors go through a lot of faculty development to feel comfortable being able to help navigate you guys through this complex process. And we're proud of the team that we've assembled to be able to do this for you all and with you all. You also will be meeting with Dr. Singer to determine or to start working on the MSPE, which is the medical student performance evaluation that goes into your residency application. That is kind of that cumulative report card. It used to be referred to as the dean's letter, that really does sum up all of your performances from your first and second years, all of the feedback that you got from your clerkship years, and how it just allows for programs to kind of see how it is that you've done. It's your portfolio. So in addition to your CV that you will be submitting as part of your residency application, this MSPE will go out from the Office of Student Affairs, as well as we will help you formulate your personal statement, which really is your written kind of acknowledgement of who you are, why you want to go into the specialty, and why programs should be considering you. And it's an exciting time to be able to put all of that together and really present yourself to these programs while you're simultaneously researching and learning about the possibilities of where you'd like to go. And then, of course, we help you with the intense process of interview preps. There are, similar to how you interview for medical school, there'll be a series of interviews that happen for residency programs. And so we offer mock sessions where you're able to interact with clinical faculty at our medical school, and they will do one-on-one mock interviews with you with questions that we know are questions that are very commonly asked at residency interviews, and be able to give you feedback, direct feedback, and additional tips on preparation, additional sessions if needed, so that when you are going out there on this interview trail, you feel comfortable and you feel prepared and you feel confident in what you bring to these programs, not only based on your interview prep, but based on what you have accomplished over the preceding few years. And you really can market yourself to these programs that you're interested in and be that competitive applicant. We, of course, will help you navigate with any questions or concerns. But really, the big thing that we add to that study hard, professionally develop, and reflect is to apply smart. And we again, based on our experiences, feel comfortable being able to give you guys advice and help you through the process of finding ultimately what you want to do and where you want to be. Next slide, please. So we're going to do a little bit of an interactive poll here. And I just would like you guys to go ahead and answer for me. What do you think is the match success rate for UNR Med? Go ahead and hit submit when you are ready. So this is what we have. So the majority of respondents, 57%, said 98%, and that is actually spot on. So let me go ahead and close this. Thank you. Next slide. Perfect. So when we talk about what the match success rate is, we have a national rate, and then we have our specific rate for our medical school. In 2020, the match rate was 94.6%. UNR Med over the last series of years has actually had an average of 98%. And so we're very proud of that. That speaks not only to the support services and guidance, but more importantly to our students and what they bring to the table and how hard you have worked in being able to navigate and really display who you are. And so with a high match rate, we want to show that you should feel confident in what UNR Med does to prepare you. You have the resources, you have the tools, not only within yourself, but around you, and in the environment at UNRMed to be incredibly successful. Next slide, please. So another poll question, where do you think our students match?
Sorry about that. I seem to have launched the poll over.
It's okay. Allows for more
I think the second one is
interaction.
at the bottom of the page, maybe.
Are you able to see the results for the second one now?
I can't, I don't see it. Are you able to scroll all the way down, Sam? So I can't see anything past the Stanford option. Do you want to just read the result?
It's all of the above.
Perfect.
And
So
that was
everybody,
100%.
perfect. I'm like, this is why, like, I'm only able to see all the first 4 choices, which all say 0, but I didn't want to assume. So very good. Our students really are able to match everywhere. Next slide, please. So here is actual points on the map of where our students have gone. And really from the standpoint of large competitive academic-based programs, small community-based programs, near, far, the opportunities are there and our students have matched into a variety of locations. And ultimately it comes down to what your goals are and what your strategies are and what your choices are based on how competitive an applicant you are. And again, going back to what makes you competitive, it's your knowledge, your performance, what you bring to the table. And so it is in your control. And so the sky is the limit as to where you can go. And we're here to help guide you. And we're here to give you the resources so that you can have a true understanding at the point where you're applying to these programs and researching these programs as to know what elements are going to help you pick them out and distinguish between them so that you can determine what it is that who it is that you want to or what program it is that you want to apply to and how you ultimately want to rank those in the match. So the question is where will you go? And we hope and we look forward to welcoming you and successfully guiding you on your journey. So that's the end of the presentation, and I'd like to open it up to any questions that you guys have for us specifically.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your guidance. It's a pleasure to hear from you. You mentioned some of the steps to go through, start to explore different options. Do a lot of MS1s begin shadowing different types of physicians early on? Is that recommended, or is it, would you recommend just kind of figuring out, getting your bearing down first?
I think getting your bearing first is incredibly important. There are definitely opportunities within your first year and certainly in the summer between your first and second year to connect and do a lot of shadowing, a lot of preceptorships, research opportunities if someone's more interested in kind of the research aspects as opposed to more like a direct clinical involvement. But getting your bearing is incredibly important. As you guys enter medical school, you'll hear from us again from the Office of Career Advising. We're actually part of the MedFit program as well, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about some strategies and whatnot. And then I actually, we're available as of day one, and I've met with students very early on, and it's pretty much at your request. You want to like bounce off ideas, you want to like explore the first couple months and then get in touch. I mean, we're here and I'm here. And just because I'm an OBGYN doesn't mean it's like you have to ask me OBGYN questions, obviously. I'm here to connect with you. But what I tell everyone is learn the lay of the land, kind of understand what the processes are, understand, kind of get a bearing and understanding of what is required of you from a time commitment standpoint when it comes to study time, and do you need to adapt it at all compared to what you did as an undergraduate or from wherever background you're transitioning from. And once you've understood that, then starting to explore options with respect to what interests you. So not everyone is going to have the same pathway. Not everyone obviously is going to have the same interests. Not everyone is going to feel comfortable volunteering for the first leadership role or opportunity that comes their way. And that's okay. What I tell every student is do what you're passionate about. Because the minute you start to just participate in activities and start to engage in activities because it checks off a box or it gets you closer to one more accomplishment or one additional thing that you put on your CV, well, sure, that's good when you're looking at a long CV. But if you can't really connect to it and you can't really then sit down and ultimately define for the program director that is interviewing you for residency why and what you got out of these moments, then I would say it's not very useful to you. And so really start to explore. And I'm here to meet with any and all of you about what it is and what that may look like based on how you start to kind of figure out your first year. And if it is that you feel like, oh, I got this and I'm good and I don't even need to, great. Connect with me your second year. I mean, there's no formal process. Everyone is different. Everyone comes with a different level of insight and skill sets. And we're really just here to be able to support and augment and help you achieve what it is that you feel like you want to try to accomplish, what it is that you'd like to get a better understanding of, how to help you network from the get-go. I'll have students that reach out to me day one and say, I know, for example, I want to go into anesthesiology. Great. Let me connect you with that anesthesiologist advisor right from year one. And we do that. We'll be able to connect you with Dr. Moody, for example, and you can kind of be in their radar from the get-go in terms of what it is that you want to do and get some more insight as to, well, do you think I should do this type of activity in the summer or this type of activity, and start to really develop a pathway for yourself that allows you to do all of these different phases of exploration.
Thank you so much.
Sure. What else?
I have a question.
Sure.
So if we're interested in a certain type of specialty or whatever, but say you're also interested in like further specializing, like via like a fellowship later on or something like that, will you guys be able to connect us with physicians in the community that are subspecialized like that and stuff, so we can shadow and get those kind of experiences?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's an important element of understanding really what it is. I think first is always that clear and crisp understanding. I mean, statistics wise too, like unless you have like really like honed in on what it is 100% that you want, I can tell you just in being in a specialty that has 4 fellowships associated with it, that sometimes you enter and your preferences change. So I think number one is keeping that open mind, an element of like, it may change and I don't want to go in like full like scope into one thing unless I absolutely know. But when we have students that profess from the get-go what it is that they're interested in, we are able to connect you with those people. We are able to get you their insight. You're able to do one-on-one interactions in addition to having the kind of the home base or core advisor that we have at UNR Med to be able to get those rotation opportunities and have them network on your behalf as well. Because then a lot of those specialists they've done their fellowships at specific programs, and they'll reach out on your behalf to certain programs and say, this is a student I've worked with, and here's a recommendation letter that I have for them. And that networking becomes critical and valuable. And we have access and the ability to be able to do that, which is exciting.
Awesome. Yeah. Because personally, I've always been really interested in emergency medicine. I was an ER scribe, so it's kind of obvious. And but I also scribed in a lot of different settings too. Like I did primary care. I scribed through Community Health Alliance, and then I did like a vein and vascular
Uh-huh.
thing where I was scribing for them. And so I feel like I got to see a lot of different
Nice.
aspects of medicine where I really liked the environment of emergency, but specifically, I really, really enjoyed my time scribing in the pediatric ER at Renown. So like that's kind of what I'm interested in, and that's kind of what my question was directed at. Like, would we be able
Absolutely.
to specifically do like rotations through pediatrics and stuff like that? And
So
yeah,
Dr. Simmers, who is our specialty advisor for emergency medicine, is exceptional at being able to create opportunities for students interested in some of the niches of emergency medicine. And she is very active nationally with the emergency medicine organizations. And so, yes, that is definitely opportunities that you have. And I would tell you, if you're, again, kind of right from the get-go what your interests are, at the point where you feel comfortable, or if you'd like for us to help facilitate that communication with her, or that intro, if you will, with her, we're more than happy to do that, and you can start to get connected, and kind of already carve that pathway for yourself as to, this is what I'm planning and this is what it looks like, and then have her give you important data and information on what it is to be that person that is applying that pathway specifically. Absolutely.
awesome, thank you. Is that Dr. Erin Simmers who does
Yes.
that? Oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah, I used to scribe for her, so
Yeah.
that's
So
cool.
there you go. No intro is needed.
She probably doesn't remember me, honestly. But that's
Yeah,
good to know, though.
absolutely. No, it
At
is.
least it's a familiar face. That's funny.
For sure, for sure. And she is an
Cool.
amazing student advocate. All of our advisors.
Awesome.
I mean, I
Cool.
think with us being, we're a small program, but I think it makes us very well connected. It makes us very collaborative. And I can tell you, by knowing literally every single person that works with our students from the standpoint of advising, and I'm not just saying it because it's us. I mean, it's a great group. I mean, they are vested in giving you resources, invested in seeing you succeed. And so I think to be able to establish those relationships and be on the same page in terms of communicating what your goals are, and navigating how to make yourself that successful applicant, it's all there. And it's really been amazing and exceptional experience for me personally to be part of such a great group of faculty that love what they're doing when it comes to student advising, irrespective of what specialty it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really
Sure.
helpful.
Sure. Other questions?
I just wanted to say, Dakota, I had the same question coming in, and I'm really glad you asked it because you asked it better than I could have.
Oh,
But,
perfect, man.
yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
I do have a quick
I'm going to
question.
step away for one moment. I will be right back. Just going to
Sure.
turn the video off.
I do have a quick question though. I guess it was kind of answered, but like I said, like if you have an idea coming in of what you want to do you recommend going straight for it, trying to see the most of what we can do as a first year, or do you kind of think it's the best to take a step back and try to absorb everything we can and try to get like a general idea of what we should do our first year?
Sure. This goes to, I mean, again, this goes to how well you guys know yourselves, right? And how much you think and know you can take on. I am not going to be one that tells anyone stop, pause, wait, like don't do. But you have to understand that this comes at there's only so much time in a day, and there's only so many things you can do. And in the realm where we know that our applicants need to be competitive, meaning you got to bring it academically. If you can bring it academically and you can do all of these other things, awesome, go for it as early as you know you can do it. We are not one to say you have a mandatory like timeout period and whatnot. But the reason I say it the way I do is it's okay. Don't feel like you need to jump in right from the moment day one. If you're someone that needs to get, your bearings and learn the lay of the land, awesome. But if you're someone that no matter what, I mean, you've gone through this, you are accomplished people, and that you've gotten yourself to medical school, you know what you can handle. And so go for it. If you feel like I can do this, go for it. You have our support. If at times though, this is where that reflection comes in, and this is why I put it on every single slide. Like, be open and be honest with yourselves. And if at times you feel like, oh, I feel like I'm taking on too much, or I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, or between these two options, I don't know what to do. We are here to help you address that as well. We have amazing resources, from the standpoint of our Learning Wellness Resource Center, from the standpoint of our career advisors, from the standpoint of the peer and faculty mentorship that you get. There's plenty of opportunities, and there's so much overlap in all of these different domains when it comes to professional and career development, that we have enough faculty, enough students, peers, whatnot, to be able to help you get connected and get the right advice. And I think that's where that reflective element is so important, is knowing what it is that you want, knowing how strong your drive is, knowing how strong your comfort and balance level is at that time, and go for it. If you can, absolutely. Okay.
Great, thank you. Yeah, because I feel like everybody's probably been asked like 100 times, like, oh, what do you want to specialize in? And sometimes I'm like, I know exactly what it is, and other times I'm like, I'll just go for the ride. Like, I don't know if I want to, fully focus on one thing or not. But
yeah, and I think that you have plenty of opportunity to figure that out. I mean, I always tell students, I always share with students, I actually entered medical school 100%, and I can't stress it enough, 100% committed to pediatrics. And here I am as OBGYN. I did all of my pre-med research. I mean, with pediatricians down in Texas, the American Association of Pediatrics, injury prevention program. I mean, the study projects I did was a full dive into all of this. And then it wasn't actually for me until my third year of doing my clerkships. And when I did my clerkships, for some reason, I don't know what it was in my mind. And it wasn't that I had ignored it. It was just I never had considered it because of the way in which I had previously interacted with pediatrics. Everything I had done was an outpatient or ER type setting. And when I did inpatient pediatrics in the middle of winter down in Las Vegas, and I had to do the unit rotation where every little baby had RSV and is in the unit, that to me was an element that I was not prepared to see. And then on further like reflection and in discussion with people that were in that specialty, like, this is like a critical part of your residency, you will be trained in all this, you will, like, that I couldn't handle that. And it was this stark realization and this panic moment, I'll be honest, of like, oh my goodness, like, what do I do now? Because I came in fully, I mean, I would say probably it wasn't my sophomore year of college was when I was like fully like on this path of pediatrics. So it was this aha moment of what do I do and what is this going to look like for me if now all of a sudden my CV is all peds and yet I'm applying to something different. And then what I also started to realize is as I started to do my rotations in surgery, I liked this kind of intense moments of kind of crazy hands-on and whatnot. And then when I did OB, finally, it was that perfect fit. I got to see that healthy baby and be the first person to touch and hold and hand it, him or her over to the mom and dad. I was able to do surgeries. I was able to have connections with my patients. I mean, it just all fell into place. And it wasn't until I had these experiences that I was able to kind of put it all together. And again, it goes back to that reflection, and it goes back to, we might be down this path and you might be 100% spot on. And that's where you end up going into residency and applying, and that's the rest of your life. Or it might hit you out of nowhere and you realize, hey, this is not the most ideal. And it's up to you to really try to explore that. Because if you don't, then you might be someone that now after X number of years of residency training is not necessarily feeling the most fulfilled and feeling the most successful version of the self that you planned on being. And I would say the sooner the later, but it's never too late ultimately to figure out what you want to do.
thank you so much.
Sure. Other questions?
Yeah, I just had a question kind of about the same kind of line, but a little bit more on the research side.
Sure.
I know like specialty specific research is becoming more and more important in the match process. And I just wanted to see if UNR Med has, or if you all are able to kind of connect us with people who are doing that kind of specialty specific research in the community so that we can start getting that aspect of our application. Obviously, maybe, I don't know when they recommend starting in research, probably like after first year or so, but is that something that you can offer?
Absolutely. So we do offer rotation, or excuse me, connections to faculty. And I'll tell you, for example, we have dermatologists in the community. We have neurology, neurosurgeon people in the community that are doing projects, and they work well with our students, and they'll help get you research type experiences and opportunities. And so it's a matter of reaching out and networking and kind of seeing where people are within the scope of projects, where faculty are within the scope of projects that are currently ongoing, or if it's something that is, you can't be part of something that's ongoing, really then trying to define something that is within the realm of expectation for what you desire to achieve, so that they can help guide you and mentor you through that process. And we definitely have that. We also have our Office of Medical Research, and you will, in your first year, have the ability to connect with faculty from the Office of Medical Research. Our Dean of Clinical Translational Research is someone that actually gives lectures to students and talks to you about the different types, scopes of research projects, quality improvement projects, case reports, hardcore bench research. All of these things are different options and opportunities. And if they're not ones that are specifically available in Reno, then we also have students that have applied to away research opportunities. So we have students that will apply to very competitive programs at Stanford and Utah and Hopkins and, NIH and all of these different places, and be able to do like a summer project with some of these top tier programs, and be able to get the types of experiences they want. It's a matter of just kind of defining what it is that you hope to accomplish. I mean, knowing that kind of publications are like that top goal and that opportunity. We have numerous students that have published. We also have numerous students that have presented at conferences, both nationally as well as internationally. We have students that have presented locally. And so it's this kind of giant possibilities, a number of possibilities. And it's a matter of picking out what's right for you and really kind of what your desire is as far as the type of scholarly work that you want to do. And so much of what we talk about in terms of research is also, we think of it in terms of like clinical realm or basic science that connects to clinical. But I would also say that there are a number of faculty, myself included, that do med ed type research or med ed type projects. And so we're able to help support that and promote that. We have an implicit bias research group that is run by our Associate Dean of Diversity and Inclusion. I'm also part of that group. And we give students involved as early as year one the opportunity to be involved in a number of different projects that we are kind of embedding into the curriculum. And so you can be part of those processes. Me, for example, through what I do as an OBGYN, will give opportunities to students to be able to do projects of scholarly work that has to do with OBGYN education or OBGYN advising or something like that. So there's a lot of different opportunities, and you'll be able to explore all of those to figure out what's right for you. And you are correct. I mean, as we start to move away in general from the standpoint of looking only at USMLE scores for our applicants because things are pass fail, the question becomes, and what else is going to be what programs look to select that competitive applicant? And research and scholarly work is definitely an important part, because it shows at the end of the day to a program that you understand evidence-based work in literature, that you understand how to interpret information in such a way that it's going to impact your patient care, irrespective of what specialty you go into. And so we definitely are able to offer those experiences.
Thank you for your answer. I appreciate it.
Sure. Other questions?
So while you're thinking, if you have any final questions, I just wanted to note that in the chat, I've posted some information about upcoming sessions, especially for those of you who might want to explore research. We'll be doing one of these, I believe I just lost my chat, February 20, 3rd, I believe, is the research session. And so be sure and RSVP for that. And if any of you are Spanish speakers or really wanting to learn Spanish so that you can better deliver care to some of the members of our local community, we encourage you to come to the meetup where you'll meet some of the medical students who are taking either medical Spanish or who are native speakers or have been involved in interpreting, and learn about some of the opportunities there. And then, of course, we've got a really important event coming up, which is that we're screening Black men in white coats. And if you haven't got your ticket yet, please do so. We do have limited tickets available, but once you have a ticket, you can screen it over the course of 3 different days, and then join us for the discussion. I think this film is creating national attention to something that's been going on for a very long time. They have a lot of great ideas for solutions, but it's nothing that one person can do. It's going to require all of us to understand the nuances of why we have so few Black men in the medical profession, and for all of us to commit to listen to their call to action and join the movement in finding ways to better address this disparity. I actually have a meeting I need to go to, so I'm going to sign off. I will leave Sam and Dr. Edizade to finish off the meeting once they feel like everybody's got their questions answered. Thank you for joining us, for participating, for your great questions. I know that not everyone can attend every one of these sessions, but we are recording them. They are better when we actually have students here than just recording something, because you often think of things that aren't as readily apparent as being important to someone who's starting medical school next year. So I hope you enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you at future sessions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Edizade and Sam, of course. We appreciate you being part of our Med 101 series.
Thank you. Other questions, guys? Anything else you can think about?
Sorry, I also have to get going for work, but I wanted to say thank you for all of your.
Of course.
Looking forward to seeing all of you soon.
Likewise. Take care. Anything else I can address?